Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 2020 Roadway Rehabilitation Project pre-construction meeting. We had discussed in our previous meetings that we would be doing this in person. Obviously, due to the events with the COVID-19, that's not possible. So we will be recording this video message and we will give opportunity for you to ask any questions at the end of the PowerPoint. We'll provide a link to emails and phone number for you to call with any questions you have. But with that, we'll start with the PowerPoint presentation going over what to expect with the 2020 Roadway Rehabilitation Project. All right, so we are going to be talking about the 2020 Roadway Rehabilitation Project here. So kind of the things that we're going to touch on here is the communication. That's going to be a real key aspect here. Especially in a year like this where, construction is usually unpredictable, and this year especially so. So we're going to be giving you information on how to stay in touch and follow along with the project as things are likely going to be changing throughout the season. We're going to go over the phasing and what the proposed schedule is right now, understanding that there's likely going to be some changes to that throughout the year. We're going to go over kind of what to expect with the construction process. And then we'll finally go over some questions and hopefully answer most of the questions that you have. If you have any other questions, like I said, we will have options available for you to send emails or phone numbers to call with any questions you have. But the first thing I wanted to go over was the in-touch notification. So this is really going to be the best way to stay up to date with the project schedule. So we will have a link below this video if you're watching it online with information on how to sign up for this. So the next page here is really the instructions on how to sign up. So if you go to the city's homepage, at the top right corner, you'll see this button here that says sign up for InTouch email. You fill in your email and your name, and you check the box for the Road Rehab 2020. You hit subscribe, and we will automatically send you weekly emails with all the project information for the upcoming week. Like I said, the schedule that we give you now is going to be close, but there will likely be some changes throughout the construction, depending on weather or other unforeseen events. Another link that I'll share here on the bottom is the project website, and this is where we'll share some of the images that we're sharing with you. We'll have the phasing schedule on here. We'll have some door hanger notices in case you lose those. And so this is going to have a lot of valuable information as well. And finally, door hangers. For phase one, we are actually going to be mailing out these door hanger notices in an effort to try to minimize potential contamination due to the virus. So you should have received door hanger notice with this letter. Hopefully you didn't throw that away. If you did, we'll have it on our website as well. So that'll have very important information on where to park if you're in a full curb area, kind of how to protect any utilities you have, and it'll give you all the options for how to contact the city if you have any questions. And this, on the bottom right-hand corner of the page, this is going to be a great number to jot down here. This is the project hotline. So this phone number is going to be very useful for any construction-related questions. If you are wondering about, how to access your house, your driveway, the streets, if you're wondering about protecting irrigation systems, things like that, this is going to be the number to call. We'll have staff that's available to meet you on your front yard and can answer any questions that you have. So we'll go over the proposed phasing plan for right now. So this is planned to be completed in 4 phases. Right now I'm showing the 4 phases kind of happening one after another. The contractor may decide to start some of these phases at the same time. If phase 1 is halfway done, they might start phase 2, so they'll have phase 1 and phase 2 happening at the same time. But May 4th is when we are projecting to start phase 1. And phase 1 is going to include Aldridge Trail, Lorry Lane, Horseshoe Lane, and then phase 2, which will be from June to July roughly. It'll include parts of Timberwood Road between Horseshoe Lane and that cul-de-sac that's just to the west of the island on Timberwood Road, and Timberwood Court. And that's a full curb replacement area. Horseshoe Lane is also going to be a full curb replacement area, and we'll kind of go over what that means later. Phase 3 will be July to August, and that will include the rest of Timberwood Road. So that's that stretch that's to the east of the cul-de-sac that's is just west of the island. And then it'll be the Prairie Oak Trail Circle, Oak Ridge Trail Circle, and Woodbury Crossing. And finally, phase 4 will be a mill overlay, and that will include the Savannah Oaks area. So that will be Savannah Oaks Elko, Savannah Oaks Bay, Savannah Oaks Lane, and Magnolia Drive. And like I had said, these timelines are estimates right now. Certainly can change, but this will be the general timeline that they follow for this project. So when we talk about phases, this is what we can expect. They'll generally take 6 to 8 weeks per phase, again, depending on weather and other things. But the first week generally consists of putting up signs for traffic control, doing utility repairs with any manholes. Some phases have more of that than others. And then after that is completed, then we get into removing and replacing damaged curb. So removing the curb will take a couple of days, and then placing the curb takes a couple of days, but really the longest time is waiting for that curb to cure. Usually takes about a week. So while that curb is curing, we don't allow vehicles to drive over it. So if there's new curb in front of your driveway, you'll have about a week where you won't have access to your driveway. After the curb is set, then we'll get into removing the pavement and grading the gravel and placing the bottom layer of pavement. That'll take a week or two. And then after the bottom layer of pavement is placed, we will patch the driveways if they were damaged during the curb replacement. And then we will get into topsoil restoration and seeding. And finally, the top layer of pavement will be placed. So we've shown this map at a few different meetings, but if you haven't been to those, this is showing generally what the proposed improvements are going to be. So this project is going to consist of a handful of different things. So there'll be some trail rehabilitation, some new trails, some spot curb and mill overlay areas, spot curb full depth areas, full depth pavement areas, and then full curb and full depth pavement areas. So the full curb and full depth streets that are going to be rehabilitated include Horseshoe Lane, Timberwood Court, and then Timberwood Road between Horseshoe Lane and that small cul-de-sac. The spot curb and full depth street construction, that includes Lorry Lane, Aldridge Trail, the rest of Timberwood Road, Prairie Oak Trail, and Oak Ridge Trail. And the mill overlay area includes Savannah Oaks Lane, Savannah Oaks Bay, Magnolia Lane, and Savannah Oaks Elko. And we'll show you a quick video here showing kind of the general construction process. And I'll go into these a little more detail after the video.
Every year, the city improves sections of neighborhood streets and a variety of areas of Woodbury. Most of the roads are in residential areas, which are why city staff conducts a series of neighborhood meetings, open houses, and public hearings related to the Roadway Rehabilitation Project. Residents attending these meetings have the opportunity to learn about the construction process, special assessments and funding, how it will impact them, and ask questions about the project. Special assessments are a charge imposed for improvements that benefit nearby properties. The amount of the charge bears a direct relationship to the benefit the property receives and is based on the city's assessment policy. Assessments are used as a partial project funding source in addition to general tax revenues and other sources. Once the project is formally approved by City Council, construction begins. The first step in the process is removing portions of the old pavement. A milling machine proceeds slowly down the street as it removes the top surface of the pavement, leaving a rough but drivable surface. In most cases, the roads remain open to traffic through the milling process. Depending on the location of the project, utility improvements might be done in conjunction with the roadway work. These improvements include sewers, water mains, natural gas lines, and communication cables. Utility work requires extensive digging and usually results in temporary lane or roadway closures. Motorists should be aware of detours in these areas. All projects involve curb and gutter work. Approximately 1 week before curb construction, sections are evaluated and marked for removal. If your curb needs replaced, you will be notified and given information on how it will impact your residents. During construction, any irrigation systems, dog fences, or other private features within the right-of-way will have to be moved by the property owner. Asphalt driveways damaged during curb replacement will be patched. Damaged concrete driveways will be removed and replaced. Curb work will also impact your lawn. The contractor will replace disturbed areas with seed and hydro mulch. The contractor will care for the area for 30 days. Residents are encouraged to water and care for the areas to achieve the best results. Once curb work is completed, it cannot be driven over for 5 to 7 days. Prior to final paving, the street surface will be thoroughly swept. After this step, the final pavement process will begin. Before the new asphalt is laid, tack oil is applied to the road. Residents should avoid driving on the tack oil because it can stick to driveways and vehicles. With the tack oil in place, crews will then begin the paving process. After the new asphalt is rolled and has cooled, it is immediately ready to use. If you have any questions regarding the project process, assessments, or the scope of the project proposed for your neighborhood, please contact the City of Woodbury Engineering Department at 651-714-3593.
So we're going to go over just some things to expect with construction. Obviously, we have a schedule, but that's subject to change based on weather or other unforeseen conditions. I think we all kind of understand with this COVID, there's some unpredictability that we don't know exactly how that's going to affect the construction schedule. It will certainly be some inconveniences with this construction. If you are having curb replaced in front of your driveway, there will be about a week where you're going to lose access to pull in and out of your driveway. We're going to try to get in and out as fast as we can, and we're going to try to communicate that as best we can so you're aware of it. And if you have concerns with things like that, for sure this project hotline, that again is in the bottom right-hand corner. That's going to be the number to call if you have some mobility concerns, things like that. Feel free to call that hotline, and we'll have staff that can meet you out there and address whatever your concerns you have. During construction, it's going to get dirty. When we remove the pavement, it's going to be dusty. We'll have the contractor watering the area, but you can all imagine the days in the middle of July when it's 80 and sunny. It doesn't take long for the gravel to dry up and create some dust. And so, likely you're going to have some dirtier cars. If you're planning on replacing windows, I'd maybe wait until construction is over in your area because you're not going to want to have windows open on those dusty days. Construction zone safety. We're going to ask you to please be patient with our construction personnel. There's some big machines and they have a lot of blind spots, and we ask that you maintain a safe distance from them. Try to make eye contact if you have to pass by these construction vehicles. The operators are looking for vehicles, but don't assume that they can see you. Be sure to keep, small children away. I know they love looking at the construction equipment, but do remember that these are dangerous pieces of equipment and can be viewed from a safe distance. And again, resident access. We will allow access on these roads throughout construction. That doesn't mean there's not going to be some delays. If you happen to be driving through a paving day, there may be, up to 20-minute, half-hour delay. If you're driving behind a mill, you're probably going to have to wait, and they don't go very fast. So we'll give you access, but I would anticipate some delays throughout construction. We'll show you some pictures of what you can expect to see throughout construction in your neighborhood. So we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about the phasing. And this is what you would see first, is some utility repair. So the picture on the left is a catch basin storm sewer structure that some of them are going to have some work done where they might have to excavate around those. And that picture on the right there is if we had to do some work to a manhole structure. As you can see, that these can be fairly significant excavations, and possibly there would be some closures here for a temporary time. So if you run into one of these, you may need to access your house or wherever you're going through alternate routes throughout the neighborhood. Again, these are short-term, couple-hour closures, but I would expect to see these throughout the neighborhood from time to time. And you're going to see these paint markings here. If you're in phase one, you might be seeing these right now in front of your house. So these white markings show where we're going to be replacing curb throughout the neighborhood. And this is what we would show in spot curb areas. If you're in a full curb area, you're not going to see the markers like this because they're going to just take out all the curb. So definitely look at your notices and know if you're in the full curb or spot curb area. If you have questions, again, feel free to call that hotline number, and they should be able to quickly tell you if you're in the spot curb or full curb area. But if you're in the spot curb area, you'll see these markings. And what these are really telling you is these are the panels they'll be removing. And if you are looking to protect any private utilities or landscaping in this area, that's all the responsibility of the homeowner. So the big things that we see here are irrigation, which you can see in that picture to the right. If you have irrigation that's right up along the curb and it happens to be a curb that's going to be removed, you're going to want to dig that out and pull that back 3 to 5 feet if you want to protect it. If you choose to leave it where it is and it becomes damaged, the city cannot and will not reimburse for any damage to any private utilities. So that includes dog fences, irrigation, any landscaping. So if you would like to protect those, it's very important that you go ahead and remove those and pull those back to at least 3 to 5 feet behind the curb. And again, if you have questions about that, feel free to call the hotline and they can meet you out in your front yard and go over very clearly what the expectations are and how to protect whatever utility or landscaping that you have. So these are some pictures that you'll see for the spot curb removal. So the road is going to be a little dirty during this process. They'll be pulling out the curb and they'll be putting it out and they'll be loading it into trucks. But there will be some time where you'll see piles of concrete curb, throughout the street. That picture in the middle, that's one of the pieces of equipment that I think we need to be aware that if you want to drive past a vehicle like that, try to make eye contact. Again, they'll be looking for vehicles, but don't assume that they can see you. Try to pass as far away from those as you can. That's really the best way to stay safe and to prevent any accidents from happening. And when we are going through the full curb area, we will need to remove mailboxes for a short amount of time. So when we do remove the mailboxes, we will be providing temporary mailboxes. If you need to have a temporary mailbox, it will be included in your door hanger notice that was either mailed out or will be delivered here later. And it will show you where our temporary mailboxes will be located. If you are uncomfortable having your mail at that temporary mailbox, I believe you can contact the post office directly, and they can hold it for you and you can pick it up at the post office, but that would be something that would have to be coordinated between the residents and the post office directly. And that picture that's to the right of those stakes, you may see stakes in your yard. Please don't remove those. They could be marking a variety of different things. Feel free to mow around them, but they're likely placed in very specific spots, and we need to keep those. The contractor will remove those when they no longer need them. And these two pieces of equipment show what the pavement removal process looks like. The one on the right is a mill, and that is what we would typically see in a project like this. And these machines, like I said before, they're pretty slow. They'll be moving throughout the day, but they move at about a walking pace. If they're doing the edges of the pavement, you can probably drive around them. If they're driving right down the middle, you might have to wait for them, or you might have to find another way out of the neighborhood. But again, as much as you can, make eye contact with the drivers. These have very big blind spots, and we certainly try to protect our contractor and ask for your help in maintaining a safe distance from all their equipment. And these pictures show what to expect if you're in the full curb replacement area. So that picture on the left, that's a curb machine, and you can't see it very well at that picture, but on the picture to the right, you can see a little bit better. There's a string line that the machine follows, and the string line is a couple feet high, and it's going to be put in your yard. Please don't take that string down. If you need to get through there and you have concerns about stepping over it, either call the hotline or see if you can get a hold of one of the contractors and see if they can put this rope down for you for a short amount of time. But the machine uses that string to guide it, and it is very sensitive. So if that string is impacted while the machine is in operation, it can certainly hurt the production of the curb and require the contractor to redo it. So if you have curb replaced in front of your driveway, if it's a spot curb area and you have an asphalt driveway, they will have to patch your driveway. As you can see on this picture here to the left, it's usually a 2 or 3 foot patch. And if half of your driveway is still drivable, you may be able to keep access to the driveway. If you have questions as to whether or not you should be driving in your driveway, again, call the hotline number. But this patch here will be placed to help bridge the gap. If you have a concrete driveway in a spot curb area, generally they can protect the concrete driveway. Not always, but usually they would be able to put in the new concrete curb and not impact the driveway. If you have some questions or concerns about that, again, the hotline number would be the best one to call. And this picture here to the left is showing what the driveway patching would look like in the full curb area. So in the full curb area, all the driveways will end up getting cut just to give that concrete machine enough room to operate. So concrete driveways would be cut back to the first panel, and asphalt driveways would be cut back about 5 feet. And that area that you see between the driveway and the curb, that'll be poured concrete aprons throughout the entire neighborhood. And that time, when those aprons are poured, it's 5 to 7 days before we would allow access. The driveways will be ribboned off while the concrete is curing, so you don't have to guess when it's going to be done. Once the driveway is ready, the contractor will come in and remove those ribbons, and you'll be able to drive in and out of your driveway. And I guess I'll point out that if you are able to park in your driveway throughout construction, please do. We do not like having vehicles parked on the street during construction. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult for the contractor to work around. If you are in the full curb area and you have to park on the street, look at your door hanger notice, because that will give you instructions on where you should be parking so that you're not impacting construction. And these pictures here show what the grading operation looks like. So this, you won't see this if you're in the mill overlay area, but if you're in the full depth pavement area, you're going to see these two pieces of equipment. The one is a grader on the left, and then there's a roller that's on the right. And the roller compacts the gravel through weight and vibration. And so the one thing to note with that roller is it can shake the house a little bit. So if you have valuables that are up on shelves and you want to protect those, I would put them on the floor because it certainly is possible for the vibration to move some of the valuables or things that are on shelves in your house. We don't usually see any impacts with foundations, but just something to be aware of, that as that roller is coming by, you're likely to feel some vibration in your house. And these two pictures here show what the Boulevard Restoration looks like after the full curb area. They'll be putting in new topsoil anywhere where they've impacted the existing boulevard. And this is how they will be applying the seed. So we use seed to restore all the grass that's impacted. A lot of people ask if we use sod, and we have used sod before, but we prefer seed. It's a little more durable once the roots get in there. It's not as susceptible to salt damage, which is likely to happen here in the winter. And it doesn't dry out quite as easily as sod would if it's planted there in the middle of summer. So the picture on the left shows what it looks like as it's being laid. That's kind of a hydro mulch material that has the seed in it, so that green stuff is kind of holding the seed in place from being eroded away due to rain or whatever else. And then the picture here on the right shows what the grass looks like after a couple of weeks. As you can see, it can be patchy. It's something that we do ask for the homeowners if they really desire a yard with good grass growth, that they help us out a little bit and take on some of the watering and weeding. The contractor will be responsible for it, but it's challenging for them when they have so many yards and they're on several projects throughout the metro. So if you do desire to see that grass growth quickly in your yard, we do ask for you to try and help out with watering and weed control. So this kind of summarizes what I was just kind of mentioning. So the contractor is responsible for the establishment of seed for 45 days after installation. And after the grass is accepted, it becomes the responsibility of the property owner to maintain. And we do, like I said, we encourage you to help us with the turf establishment. If you take some effort to water and do some weeding, it's going to help a ton, because quite frankly, our contractor it's challenging for them to put as much care into the yard as it would be for any of the homeowners too. So we do include a watering guide if that's something you're interested in to help get the grass to grow. And if you are looking to water it daily, that is an option, but we do require watering permits to be acquired from the city. And finally, we will be paving all of these roads. That's kind of the last step, and it's the grand finale of construction, I guess you'd say. So as you can see, they pave about one lane at a time. So we still leave access for vehicles to get in and out. I'll say if you see the paver drive past your driveway, I'd wait until they roll it before trying to get into your driveway. So that'll be, 20 minutes to a half hour. So again, it's one of those, you do have access, but there may be some delays. And these are some of the things that we ask for you to avoid in order to protect the pavement as long as any of your personal property. So that picture on the far left, that's somebody who drove over the curb before it was set. And you can't really see in that picture, but that curb didn't end up cracking. And that is not covered by the contractor's warranty. So I can't tell you how that one was resolved as far as who paid for it, but things like that need to be avoided. And it's pretty obvious that he shouldn't have driven over it because there was a big hole right behind the curb. One of the other things that we see often on that picture in the center there is showing what the paving operation looks like on the day. So they'll pave one lane at a time, and while they're paving, they put this tack coat on the bottom layer of pavement. And this tack coat helps keep the top coat and the bottom coat of pavement together. Of course, in order to do that, it has to be very sticky. So it sticks to everything, including car tires, concrete driveways, garages, everything else. So do your best to not drive if you see this tack coat. If you have to drive across it, go very slow so that it doesn't spray up onto your car at all. Don't pull into your garage. If you have an asphalt driveway, feel free, you can park in the driveway, but don't go into the garage because very likely you'll see that tack coat get into the garage floor and it can be very difficult to clean. So drive on the new asphalt as much as you can and avoid driving on the tack coat. And that picture on the right is showing, this was actually a garbage truck that came through on the day of paving. So we do our best to work around garbage day. We're aware that it's Monday in your neighborhood, so we will do our best to make sure that no paving is going to occur on Mondays because we understand the complications that come with trying to pave on garbage day. So, but if you are driving on new pavement, some things to keep in mind. Don't pivot your wheels when the car is not moving. So if you're backing out of your driveway, keep the car in motion while the tires are moving. Keep the car in motion while you're turning. If you stop and pivot, you'll see some scuffs in the pavement, and they're not going to hurt the pavement, but it'll just essentially scar the pavement for a couple of years, and there's really no way we can fix those. Again, it doesn't hurt the pavement, but it's just an aesthetic thing that we would like to avoid if possible. And like I said, we will maintain access throughout construction, but the one thing I just want to emphasize is giving access is not the same as it was before. So although you have access, expect delays, expect some narrow streets, expect seeing construction vehicles throughout the summer, and just be cautious as much as you can around the construction crews, around the equipment. These guys are working as fast as they can, and the more you try to accommodate them, the quicker they can get it done, and everybody will be happy. So some of the frequently asked questions, and hopefully I've covered most of these throughout the presentation, but just summarize here. So the schedule, we will be beginning construction May 4th, and that'll start in phase 1. Again, the phasing sheet we will share on our project website. We're expecting substantial completion sometime in October. Like I had said before, the schedule can be delayed or changed from a variety of different reasons. So the best way to stay up to date on the construction progress and schedule is to sign up for the city's In Touch email notification service. Also, we usually schedule construction around the garage sale, which happens in May. This year, it's going to be happening in September, as far as I know, as long as that doesn't change again. And we will be working with a contractor to make sure that we're minimizing construction impacts during that garage sale. Again, streets will be open during construction. We will maintain a gravel section for those full depth replacement, or it'll be kind of a rough pavement surface if it's in the mill overlay area. That being said, I would expect some delays. The contractors' anticipated working hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. I will say that they are allowed to work from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., but we generally try to keep them into that 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. One of the reasons we would let them work maybe a little bit earlier, if they are finishing up, let's say, a paving day, it's difficult for the paving operations to get started. There's a lot of pieces that go into that. So if it's 7 p.m. and they have an hour of paving left, generally we'll let them work until 8 p.m. To get that done, rather than have them set up for an hour the next day and essentially take most of the morning to do what they could have done in an hour. Driveway access during the project. If you're in the spot curb area, you'll likely have driveway access throughout construction. If you happen to have spot curb that's replaced in front of your driveway, you'll likely be able to park kind of right outside your front yard. If you're in the full curb area, you're going to be losing driveway access while that concrete cures, which is roughly a week. And we will let you know where you can park to minimize disturbance to the project. And one thing that people usually ask about is, if I'm bringing home groceries, you're certainly able to temporarily park in front of your house if you're just unloading groceries, or you have small children, or you need to drop somebody off. Certainly, a few minutes at a time, you can park right in front of your house, as long as the contractor isn't working directly in front of your house. So yeah, feel free. If it's just going to be a short, 5-minute thing, and there isn't any construction activity happening there, go ahead and park for just a little bit of time and unload the car, or whatever you have to do. And again, something that I had mentioned before, and this is one of the big things that we deal with, is irrigation systems, dog fences, other landscaping within the city's right-of-way. So the city right-of-way extends roughly 12 feet behind the curb. That gives the city room to put in essential infrastructure, different kinds of utilities, some areas where there's a trail throughout the neighborhoods. So that's the city's right-of-way, and this capitalized text here at the bottom. The city or the contractor will not repair or replace any private utilities that are damaged within the city's right-of-way. That's a city policy. So if you have any concerns about irrigation systems, dog fences, landscaping, please call the hotline. If those are damaged, we can't replace those. And marking them will not protect them from being damaged. If you mark them in the full curb area, the contractor is going to have to go back 3 feet at least in those areas, so they aren't able to work around irrigation systems or dog fences that are marked. Again, if you have questions, concerns, the project hotline number is down there below, so feel free to call them anytime. Will the contractor offer residential driveway replacement? No, the contractor is not looking for that kind of work. These contractors are built to handle kind of bigger operations than private driveway work. So as a result, they will do the driveway patching that's impacted through the concrete work, but they won't be working with any private homeowners to replace the driveways. And the one thing that I'll emphasize is I would wait, if you're looking to replace your driveway this year, wait until construction is over in your area. We always hate when we have to cut into brand new driveways. So please wait until construction is over before replacing your driveway. And garbage and mail service. Again, we're aware of the garbage day is on Mondays, and we'll do our best to work around the garbage schedule. Mail service will be maintained. Like I said, if you're in the full curb area, we'll provide temporary mailboxes. And if you have concerns about a temporary mailbox, feel free to contact the post office, and I believe you can pick up your mail directly at the post office. And we also want to set some expectations here about what the pavement is going to look like next year. So it's certainly likely that we're going to have some cracks in the pavement. That's just something that happens, especially a climate like Minnesota's, where we see really hot temperatures and really cold temperatures. The pavement expands and contracts, and when that happens, you see some cracks like this. It's completely normal and expected. We'll go through and fill cracks as a city maintenance work. And the other item that we will plan to do next year is putting on a pavement rejuvenator, which will hopefully add some asphalt to the pavement and increase the life of the pavement. So before I sign off here, I just wanted to bring your attention to a couple other road construction projects that will be going on in the city. So the county will be having a couple of projects here that are fairly extensive. Bailey Road between Wood Lane Drive and Radio Drive is going to be converted to 4-lane section of road. So that's going to have some pretty significant impacts in that area. Woodbury Drive between I-94 and Tamarack Road. This is the area up kind of by Sam's Club and Super Target. So that area, there's a very extensive project going on there, likely to have major traffic impacts. And then again, for the second year in a row, MnDOT is working on the I-94, 494, 694 interchange project. And if you want to learn more about any of these projects, we'll have a link below to the city's website that will summarize kind of what these projects are and how to learn more about them. And again, we certainly are open to all your questions. This is kind of the contact information. If you have any construction-related questions, if you have questions about different impacts to the curb replacement or access, if you have significant concerns about parking outside of your driveway, this is the number to call. Usually we would be getting questions about graduation parties and things. Hopefully by the end of summer, we can be working around those, but I don't anticipate too many graduation parties occurring, at least for the next couple of months here. But again, if you have events like that you want to work around, the project hotline is certainly the number to call. And if you would rather send an email, that's the email address. That's my contact information. I'm Mike Kana. I work with the city. You can certainly ask me questions, but I will have more of broad knowledge. I'll be able to tell you that they're doing pavement removal in phase 1. If you're wondering what they're doing in front of 2756 Horseshoe Lane, you're going to have to call the hotline. I'm not going to have that specific knowledge. So if you call me about specific construction items, I'm likely going to send it to the hotline anyway. But feel free to call me about any other questions you might have. If you have questions about websites, about assessments or anything else part of the construction process, I'm happy to answer any questions through phone or email. Well, thanks again for watching the video. Again, if you have questions, we have some information there at the bottom for you to contact either me or the construction hotline. Again, appreciate your patience here with this construction during the COVID crisis, but right now everything is on as planned, and we look forward to wrapping up construction here at the end of October. Thanks.